I never wanted this life. That is how most people remember Michael Corleone. They remember the quiet son who stood apart from the family business, the war veteran who believed he could build a future without inheriting the weight of his father's empire. It sounds like the beginning of a tragedy about power. But what if that is not what happened at all? Imagine sitting at a family dinner where everyone knows their role except one person. Michael is present, but he carries himself differently. He listens more than he speaks. He watches rather than commands around him. Loyalty is treated like currency. Reputation is guarded more carefully than money. And every decision carries consequences far beyond the room itself. Yet Michael still believes there is another path. His relationship with Kay represents that possibility. With her, he is simply Michael, not the son of Don Vito Corleone. He can imagine a future measured by ordinary milestones instead of endless calculations about trust, influence, and obligation. That ordinary life is not just something he wants. It is something he believes he can protect by keeping his distance. His father sees something different. Vito understands that families do not exist outside history. They exist inside storms. A man may refuse responsibility, but responsibility rarely returns the favor. For a while, Michael refuses to believe that lesson. Then everything changes. A single attack against the family tears through the illusion that distance alone can provide safety. Suddenly, the invisible walls separating Michael from the family's world disappear. The danger is no longer an abstract problem handled by someone else. It has entered the lives of the people he loves most. Most viewers assume this is the moment Michael begins chasing power. Look closer. His first instinct is not ambition. It is protection. Behavioral science offers an interesting way to understand this moment. When people experience a sudden loss of certainty, the human brain immediately begins searching for something it can stabilize. Uncertainty feels dangerous even before any new threat appears. The desire to regain control becomes emotionally rewarding because it promises relief from fear. Michael is no different. He does not wake up wanting to become the most powerful man in the room. He simply reaches one conclusion that feels impossible to argue with. If chaos found his family once, then it must never be allowed to happen again. That belief sounds reasonable, almost noble. Protect the people you love. Prevent another disaster. Never allow the same mistake twice. Who could disagree with any of that? Yet hidden inside those promises is an assumption that quietly reshapes everything that follows. Michael begins believing that safety is not something to be hoped for. It is something that can be engineered, planned, guaranteed. From that moment forward, every decision becomes less about reacting to danger and more about eliminating the possibility of danger itself. And without realizing it, Michael takes the first step toward a goal no human being can ever fully achieve: complete control. The most dangerous decisions rarely announce themselves as dangerous. They arrive disguised as responsibility. After the attack on the family, Michael does not begin acting like a conqueror. He begins acting like an engineer. Every conversation becomes a problem to solve. Every uncertainty becomes a flaw in the system. Every unexpected outcome feels like evidence that something has escaped his attention. At first, the changes are almost invisible. He listens longer before speaking. He asks more questions than anyone expects. He memorizes details that others dismiss as unimportant. Someone arrives 5 minutes late. Someone changes the wording of a simple promise. Someone avoids eye contact during dinner. None of these moments prove anything by themselves. Yet Michael quietly collects them up, assembling an invisible map of trust inside his mind. The strange part is that this approach works. Problems are discovered earlier. Conflicts are avoided before they become public. People begin depending on Michael because he always seems prepared. Competence earns confidence. Confidence earns influence. Influence creates even more responsibility. It is a cycle that rewards itself. Vito had often believed that a leader must understand people better than they understand themselves. Michael embraces that lesson completely, but he carries it one step further. Understanding is no longer enough. If people can surprise you, then they can also endanger everything you are trying to protect. Surprises become unacceptable. Even at home, the difference begins to show. Kay notices that Michael no longer answers simple questions with simple answers. Instead of sharing what he is thinking, he asks what everyone else thinks first. Instead of talking about tomorrow, he talks about possibilities, contingencies, and preparations. He is still gentle, still composed, still devoted, but something subtle has shifted. His attention no longer rests on the people in front of him. It rests on the risks surrounding them. Behavioral scientists describe an interesting pattern that appears in moments like this. Once a strategy successfully reduces anxiety, the brain naturally wants to repeat it. The feeling of control becomes rewarding in itself, even if the original danger has already passed. Michael experiences exactly that. Each successful decision convinces him that careful planning prevented disaster. Perhaps it did. Perhaps it did not. The human mind rarely distinguishes between genuine control and the comforting illusion of it. As long as nothing goes wrong, every precaution appears justified. So Michael expands them. He wants better information, better timing, better coordination, fewer unknowns, fewer unanswered questions. Every layer of uncertainty he removes gives him temporary peace. Yet that peace never lasts very long. Almost immediately, another possibility appears. Another variable, another unanswered question, another person whose loyalty cannot be measured with complete certainty. Without realizing it, Michael has changed the question guiding his life. He is no longer asking, "How do I protect my family?" He is asking, "What have I failed to control?" Those questions sound similar. They are not. One is rooted in love. The other is rooted in fear. The people around him cannot explain the difference, but they begin to feel it. Conversations become shorter. Smiles become more careful. Silence starts replacing spontaneity. Nobody openly challenges Michael. In many ways, he has become more dependable than ever. Yet the atmosphere around him grows strangely heavier. Not because he has become cruel, because everyone senses that every word now carries weight beyond the conversation itself. The tragedy is that Michael interprets this new distance as proof that he must become even more vigilant. He believes caution is protecting the family. He does not yet see that caution itself is quietly rewriting every relationship he once hoped to preserve. The hardest person to command is not an enemy. It is someone who once trusted you without question. As Michael's world becomes more organized, it also becomes strangely quieter. Meetings grow shorter. Conversations become more deliberate. Fewer people interrupt him. Fewer people disagree with him. To an outsider, it looks like respect. Inside the family, it feels different. Tom Hagen notices it first. Tom has always understood that influence depends on relationships more than instructions. He has spent years solving problems by reading emotions before reading facts. One evening, after another carefully managed discussion, he lingers behind as everyone else leaves. "You cannot prepare for every possibility," Tom says calmly. Michael does not even look surprised. "I do not need every possibility," he replies. "Only the important ones." Tom studies him for a long moment. "And who decides which ones are important?" Michael pauses. "I do." The answer is confident. Perhaps too confident. That brief exchange reveals something neither man says aloud. Michael no longer sees uncertainty as something to live with. He sees it as a mistake waiting to happen. Kay experiences the change from a completely different angle. She does not see secret meetings or strategic decisions. She sees empty chairs at dinner, delayed conversations, questions answered with reassuring smiles instead of honest explanations. Whenever she asks if everything is all right, Michael always gives the same quiet response. "I am taking care of it." The words are meant to comfort her. Instead, they slowly build an invisible wall. Trust is an unusual thing. It grows through shared uncertainty. When one person insists on carrying every burden, the other eventually stops feeling like a partner. Without intending to, Michael begins protecting Kay from information, then from difficult choices, then from uncomfortable truths. Each decision seems compassionate. Together, they reshape the marriage. The irony is almost impossible to notice while it is happening. Michael believes he is removing stress from the people he loves. What he is actually removing is participation. Behavioral psychology describes another pattern that quietly appears here. Human relationships become stronger when people feel they have agency, even during difficult moments. When that sense of agency disappears, emotional distance often replaces emotional security. Michael never learns this lesson. Because every time he withholds information, nothing immediately falls apart. The silence appears successful, so he repeats it. Inside the family business, similar changes unfold. Longtime allies begin waiting for Michael's decisions instead of offering their own ideas. They speak more carefully, measuring every sentence before it leaves their mouths. Not because they fear punishment, because they no longer know which details Michael already knows. Knowledge itself has become a form of power. The room starts revolving around a single center of gravity. Michael. At first glance, this seems like perfect leadership. One clear voice. One final decision. One person carrying ultimate responsibility. But systems built around a single point share a hidden weakness. Everything depends on that point remaining stable. The more responsibility Michael absorbs, the more impossible it becomes to rest. Every unanswered question feels personal. Every unexpected event feels like evidence that he overlooked something. Control no longer reduces his anxiety. It feeds it. The family notices that he sleeps less. He spends longer studying conversations after they end than enjoying them while they happen. Even moments of celebration carry an invisible calculation in the background. Who arrived first? Who stayed unusually quiet? Who left earlier than expected? Other people see memories. Michael sees patterns. Then one ordinary decision quietly changes everything. Instead of inviting those closest to him into an important discussion, he chooses to carry the burden alone, convinced it is the safest path. No argument follows. No dramatic confrontation erupts. Only silence. And silence, unlike conflict, leaves no obvious wounds. It simply teaches people that they are no longer standing beside you. They're standing outside the door, waiting for permission to enter. Silence has an unusual way of changing people. At first, it feels peaceful. Then it begins asking questions that no one dares to speak aloud. The people closest to Michael gradually adapt to the new reality. They stop offering opinions unless he asks. They stop volunteering concerns because they assume he has already considered them. They begin editing themselves before they ever enter the room. Michael notices the efficiency. He does not notice the cost. One afternoon, Tom quietly remarks, "There was a time when everyone felt responsible." Michael looks up from a stack of reports. "They still are." Tom shakes his head. "No, they are waiting for your responsibility now." Michael dismisses the comment to him. Hesitation is dangerous. Shared responsibility sounds noble, but it also creates confusion. Different judgments, different priorities, different opportunities for mistakes. One clear decision is always better than 5 uncertain ones. At least that is what he tells himself. The strange thing about control is that it changes the behavior of everyone around it. The more predictable Michael tries to make the family, the more unpredictable people become. Some become quieter. Some become cautious. Some begin hiding small concerns because they do not want to create additional problems. Others simply assume Michael already knows everything worth knowing. Without intending to deceive him, they begin filtering reality before it ever reaches him. This creates a paradox. Michael believes he has more information than ever before. In truth, he is receiving less. Not because people are dishonest, because they are adapting. Behavioral researchers often describe this as a feedback loop. People naturally respond to the environment created by a leader. When every answer appears to come from one person, everyone else slowly stops practicing independent judgment. Michael mistakes that dependence for loyalty. It is actually something far more fragile. Kay senses the change in ways that numbers and strategies never could. One evening she asks a simple question. "When was the last time someone told you that you were wrong?" Michael smiles slightly. "They would if I were." She does not answer immediately. Instead, she studies his face, searching for the man she met years earlier. "The problem," she says softly, "is that nobody knows whether you still want to hear it." The room falls quiet. Michael believes she is worried. He does not realize she is grieving. Not because he has disappeared overnight, but because he has slowly become someone who cannot be reached through ordinary conversation anymore. The walls around him are invisible. That makes them even stronger. Ironically, every sacrifice Michael makes is still motivated by the same promise he made to himself after the family was threatened. Keep everyone safe. Prevent another disaster. Never allow uncertainty to decide their future. The goal has never changed. Only the methods have. And those methods now produce consequences he never intended. The more he manages every detail, the less resilient everyone else becomes. The more he protects them from difficult decisions, the less prepared they are to face uncertainty themselves. The stronger Michael becomes, the weaker the people around him quietly grow. He interprets this weakness as proof that they need him even more. So he tightens his grip once again. Another conversation becomes private. Another decision remains undisclosed. Another burden is carried alone. Each choice feels reasonable in isolation. Together, they create something entirely different. The family no longer functions because trust flows naturally between its members. It functions because one man is constantly holding every thread in his hands. For a time, that appears to work. But every tightly stretched thread carries hidden tension. And tension does not disappear simply because no one speaks about it. It waits, patiently, until the smallest unexpected moment reveals that the greatest threat was never the uncertainty outside the family. It was the growing uncertainty inside it. For a long time, Michael believed that sacrifice could solve every problem. If someone had to carry the fear, he would carry it. If someone had to make impossible decisions, he would make them. If someone had to stand alone, then standing alone simply became part of the job. There is something deeply admirable about that mindset. Until one day you realize that the people you are protecting no longer recognize the person doing the protecting. Kay notices it in the smallest moments. Michael still comes home. He still asks if everything is all right. He still speaks with the same calm voice. Nothing dramatic has changed. Yet everything feels different. The conversations that once wandered through Hope's memories and ordinary dreams now revolve around schedules, responsibilities, and carefully measured reassurances. One evening, she quietly asks him a question that has been waiting between them for months. Do you still trust anyone? Michael answers almost immediately. I trust the people who prove they deserve it. She nods slowly. And who gets to prove that? He hesitates. Nobody answers when silence already has. The distance between two people is rarely created by one great betrayal. More often, it is created by thousands of tiny moments in which honesty is replaced by protection. Michael believes he is shielding Kay from unnecessary burdens. Kay feels herself disappearing from the decisions that shape her own life. Both believe they are acting out of love. Neither understands the loneliness the other is experiencing. The same pattern quietly spreads throughout the family. People stop bringing Michael bad news unless they absolutely must. They solve smaller problems themselves because they do not want to interrupt him. Sometimes they avoid difficult conversations altogether. Not because they are disloyal, because they know what Michael values most. Order, predictability, control. So they present him with orderly versions of reality. Without realizing it, everyone begins protecting Michael from uncertainty, just as Michael has been protecting everyone else. The result is almost tragic. The man who wants complete awareness gradually receives carefully edited truth. He believes he sees everything. He is actually seeing less than ever before. Tom understands what is happening long before Michael does. You built a room where everyone waits for your approval, he says quietly during one late conversation. Michael remains composed. They wait because they know I will make the right decision. Tom sighs. No, they wait because they are afraid of making the wrong one. Those words linger long after the conversation ends. For the first time, Michael considers a possibility he has refused to entertain. What if every new layer of control has quietly reduced everyone else's willingness to act? What if the strength he sees in himself has been borrowed from the confidence of everyone around him? But the thought disappears almost as quickly as it arrives. The world has already taught him what uncertainty costs. He cannot afford to loosen his grip now. That conclusion feels logical. It also seals the pattern. Every warning becomes another reason to tighten control. Every sign of dependence becomes proof that people need stronger leadership. Every emotional distance becomes evidence that vulnerability is a luxury he can no longer allow himself. The greatest irony is impossible for Michael to see from inside his own life. He has achieved exactly what he believed would keep the family safe. Nothing important happens without his knowledge. Nothing significant moves without his approval. Nothing proceeds without his decision. By every external measure, he has won. Yet when he looks around, something essential has vanished. The laughter comes less easily. The conversations end more quickly. Even the people sitting closest to him seem impossibly far away. The family still surrounds Michael, but the sense of belonging that once held them together has quietly slipped beyond the reach of even the most carefully planned decision. And for the first time, the question is no longer whether Michael can control the world around him. It is whether he has already lost the one thing that control could never command. By now, Michael has stopped asking whether control is worth the cost. He asks a different question. What would happen if he let go? The answer terrifies him. Not because he believes the family would immediately collapse, but because he can no longer imagine a world where everything does not depend on him. That is the final trap. The prison no longer needs locked doors. The prisoner carries the key and refuses to use it. From the outside, Michael appears stronger than he has ever been. His decisions are precise. His authority is unquestioned. His composure never breaks. People interpret that calm as confidence. They do not see the invisible calculations happening every minute. Every conversation is evaluated. Every silence is examined. Every unexpected change becomes another possibility to investigate. The human brain has an extraordinary ability to adapt to repeated behavior. What begins as an emergency response can slowly become a permanent way of seeing the world. Michael no longer reacts to uncertainty. He anticipates it before it exists. That anticipation becomes exhausting, yet it also becomes addictive. Because every time nothing goes wrong, he credits preparation rather than chance. Every successful outcome reinforces the belief that even more preparation is necessary. It is a cycle with no natural ending. Tom watches this transformation with quiet sadness. One evening, after another long day of decisions that seem to have no finish line, he asks Michael a question that sounds almost philosophical. When was the last time you felt safe? Michael looks confused. We are safer now than we have ever been. Tom nods. I did not ask about the family. I asked about you. For the first time in a long while, Michael has no immediate answer. Because the truth is difficult to admit. The safer the family becomes, the less secure he feels inside himself. Every new layer of protection creates another responsibility. Every solved problem reveals another potential weakness. Safety has become a horizon. The closer he moves toward it, the farther away it appears. Kay notices something different. She no longer tries to convince Michael to explain himself. She no longer argues about the growing distance between them. Instead, she begins accepting that some conversations will never happen. Acceptance can look peaceful from the outside. In reality, it often arrives after hope quietly leaves the room. Michael mistakes that silence for understanding. It is actually resignation. The relationships surrounding him begin changing in ways no strategy can reverse. People continue respecting him. They continue following him. They continue trusting his judgment. But trust is no longer mutual. They trust Michael's decisions. Michael trusts only his own. That difference changes everything. Leadership slowly becomes isolation. Responsibility becomes loneliness. Protection becomes separation. Without realizing it, Michael has eliminated the very uncertainty that once allowed relationships to breathe. No one interrupts him. No one challenges him. No one surprises him. For years, that seemed like success. Now it feels strangely empty. Behavioral science offers one final insight into this transformation. Human beings are remarkably skilled at confusing prediction with connection. We often believe that if we can anticipate another person's actions, then we understand that person. But prediction is not intimacy. Managing behavior is not the same as earning trust. Reducing uncertainty is not the same as creating security. Michael mastered the first. He slowly lost the second. And that may be the deepest irony of his entire journey. The man who dedicated his life to protecting the people he loved gradually built a world where everyone depended on him. Yet fewer people truly reached him. By the time he senses what has been lost, the pattern has become part of who he is. The tragedy is no longer about power. It is about identity. Because after years of believing that control was something he possessed, Michael faces a far more unsettling possibility. Perhaps control has been possessing him all along. There comes a moment when every system reveals what it was truly built to protect. Not through speeches, not through victories, but through what remains when everyone else has fallen silent. Michael sits in rooms that once felt alive. The conversations are orderly. The decisions are efficient. Nothing appears out of place. Years earlier, he would have called this stability. Now the silence feels different. It is no longer the quiet confidence of people who trust one another. It is the careful silence of people who have learned that the safest answer is agreement. No one challenges him. No one surprises him. No one risks disappointing him. For years, Michael believed this was the highest form of leadership. Only now does another possibility begin to emerge. Perhaps he has not eliminated conflict. Perhaps he has eliminated honesty. One afternoon, he notices something almost insignificant. A discussion ends far too quickly. Everyone accepts his decision without debate. The room empties. No one lingers. No one laughs. No one shares the casual conversations that used to begin after the important business had already been settled. The meeting was perfect. That is exactly what unsettles him. Perfection leaves no room for real people. Tom watches Michael staring at the empty chairs. "You used to ask what everyone thought," he says. Michael answers without looking up. "I already know." Tom's reply arrives almost as a whisper. "That is what worries me." The words stay with Michael long after Tom leaves. Because somewhere beneath all the certainty, he recognizes something he has spent years trying to ignore. Knowing what people will say is not the same as knowing what they truly believe. Predictability has replaced openness. Compliance has replaced confidence. Order has replaced trust. For the first time, Michael wonders whether he has been measuring success with the wrong standard all along. He wanted a family that could never again be caught unprepared. Instead, he created a family that rarely speaks unless invited. The realization arrived slowly, almost painfully. Every safeguard he introduced had a reasonable purpose. Every decision followed understandable logic. Every sacrifice appeared necessary at the time. No single choice destroyed what mattered. Thousands of careful choices quietly reshaped it. That is why this story continues to resonate decades after it was written. Very few people wake up hoping to become controlling. Most begin exactly where Michael began. A parent trying to protect a child. A leader trying to prevent failure. A husband trying to shield his family from uncertainty. The intention is rarely the problem. The danger appears when protection slowly becomes possession. When responsibility becomes the belief that only one person can be trusted. When love quietly transforms into supervision. Michael finally stands before a truth that no strategy can solve. The greatest threats in life are not always the ones outside the door. Sometimes they are the habits we reward inside ourselves. The need to anticipate every outcome. The refusal to share uncertainty. The quiet conviction that if we loosen our grip for even a moment, everything we love will disappear. That belief feels like strength, yet it often grows from fear. Perhaps that is why Michael's journey feels less like the story of one extraordinary man and more like a mirror held up to all of us. Most people do not lose the people they love in a single dramatic moment. They lose them one carefully managed conversation at a time, one withheld truth at a time, one silent room at a time. And by the time they finally notice the distance, they discover the same heartbreaking lesson that Michael spent an entire lifetime learning. There are many things that power can command. Trust is not one of them. Love is not one of them. And the more desperately we try to control those gifts, the more likely they are to slip quietly beyond our reach.